How would you describe your journey in a few words?
In just a few words, it will be lots of up and downs, lots of confusion, lots of challenges, lots of trying to find myself, things I like to do, things that work for me, purpose, like what do I want to do for the rest of my life. And also, I would say, accomplishments, being able to find some things that work, some things that I don't do anymore. So I think, yeah, like everybody, lots of up and downs, lots of rewards, and lots of areas for improvement as well.
And I have that thing with the purpose, because one of my next question is, what is driving you to just do this fat love journey and just
Yeah.
create content about it and create a business about it?
Sure. So maybe for a bit of background, right? So I'm a nutrition coach right now. I'm a nutrition coach and a personal trainer. But first and foremost, like my goal, my purpose right now that I found and that I really enjoy and that I want to keep pursuing is to help people out. Because when it comes to this fat loss and nutrition and fitness world, I know firsthand how hard it can be. Because I grew up as a fat kid, was very self-conscious about it during my childhood and even my teenagers and even in my early 20s, going all the way to university where I finally, decided to change my life, essentially. I managed to lose a lot of weight when I was in uni. I lost about 25 kilos at that point. But still, I wasn't that happy at the end of it because I didn't do it quite right. I lost a lot of weight very fast. I did some things that I'm not super proud of, let's say, at the time. Yeah, as I mentioned in the beginning, the first question, there's been lots of up and downs, lots of learnings, and I, since I lost weight in a very unsustainable weight, I ended up gaining it all back and a lot more. My heaviest, I was at almost 116 kilos that I saw on the scale. It could have been even higher, to be honest, if I would have weighed myself earlier. I don't know, but that's where I got. And this was, since now it's 2026, this was 3 years ago, and that's when I decided, okay, I do have a good level of knowledge when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to fitness. I always tend to go for the extremes. Let's see what happens if I actually do things more by the book. I know what works. I'm a bit scared of doing it because it takes more time and so on, but let me try to do it. I did it. I managed to lose about 40 kilos from my highest. And yeah, along the way, I decided like, this is very, very fulfilling. I know how life changing it can be. I know how big of a change in one's life it can be, and it's something that I want to help people out, because I know I discover some things that if someone like me, again, like from university, would have known back then, they would have saved a lot of time. And that's now when I talked about purpose, like that's my purpose now. That's my long-term goal. I want to be able to help as many people as possible from all levels of, men, woman, I don't care. I want to be able to help as many people as possible. That's kind of my thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you mentioned the big change where your fat loss journey started in uni.
Yeah,
You said like you were really self-aware. Like why did you start like exactly at uni? What was
yeah,
the the behind the scenes kind of?
yeah. No, yeah. Uh, it's a hard question because I find this also with a lot of people and also lots of clients. People tend to know what to do. They know what to do. They know, okay, I need to eat a bit less and I need to exercise a bit more. There's a lot of nuance when it comes to know what I should be eating, how much I should be eating, and so on and so forth. But at the core, most people know what they need to do. Problem is that they don't do it for whatever reason. There is something that can be blocking them. For me, I don't think I had one day or one point in time when I was like, okay, that's it. I'm gonna lose weight. That's it. This made me want to do it. It's more of a build up of things. From seeing myself in the mirror and not liking how I look to, wanting to feel more attractive to the opposite gender in uni. and seeing, all these kind of all these people having some troubles, even maybe perhaps from a health perspective, like not being able to walk up the stairs without getting out of breath. It was piling all these things up that eventually led me to, making a change and then sticking to it. And sticking to it is the hardest part, I think, because it's easy to start when it comes to weight loss. Okay, I'm gonna go on a diet. It's Monday, let me start eating chicken and broccoli and so on. But when it comes to actually sticking to it, that's when lots of people, myself included, for many times, tend to fail and give up, and then eventually come back to it months or years later, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think that's real relatable because everybody was, yes, I'm gonna eat bland chicken and broccoli for rest of freaking my life or something. But eventually, in a few days, you will binge it and you will just actually take all the calories you burn or you saved. You just get them. And I heard you said you made a lot of mistakes at the beginning of your journey. If you had to start your fat loss journey again, what would you do differently? And what mistakes did you make?
That's a great question. All my mistakes, not all of them, but a lot of them, I did them when I was in uni and when I first lost weight. The biggest ones was to eat barely any food. For some reason, I was tracking my calories, so I knew about calories. I found a calorie tracking app. It was called Fat Secret. I don't know if it's still live. And I was trying to eat as little calories as possible. I was eating about 900 to 1000 calories per day, consistently while tracking them. And I was eating little to no protein. I didn't pay attention at all to my protein intake. I just wanted to eat as little as possible because I saw that when I do this, the number on the scale keeps going down. And it keeps going down and it keeps going down and it keeps going down. And that's how I lost a good chunk, if not all of the weight back in uni, which at this point, and here I'm showing a bit my age, it was 9 years ago. So that's the biggest thing, was eating as little as possible. I used to do workouts as well at home. I had this one video which I found online, which was called Insanity, which is from, I forgot the guy's name, but it's essentially a super advanced cardio routine, like a HIIT workout where you go all out for 5 minutes, then you take a little bit of break and you repeat and you do and like that. I used to do that a couple of times. It was awful. I felt awful afterwards, but it worked in the sense that I kept losing weight. Why was it a mistake? Because this made me develop a very bad relationship with food. Like being in uni, in the weekends I used to either go out with some friends and drink and eat and so on, or I used to go to my parents. I used to travel to my parents. And in the weekends when I used to go to my parents, we always, not always, but most times we used to go to this Asian restaurant, which is a all you can eat, where it's a buffet, open buffet. You grab as many plates as you want and you eat whatever you want. And that's when I used to go crazy. It was kind of a binge. I wouldn't call it like binge eating because I wasn't diagnosed with it or on anything, but it was binge like eat as many calories as possible, stuff my face as much as possible to the point of being in pain. And then Monday, okay, I'm back at uni. Let me go back on my little diet. And eventually, because of these things and because I didn't learn at the time how to actually lose weight sustainably, I gained everything back, right? I got to my lowest weight. That's where I had more severe binge eating episodes where I would literally eat a ton of things from my fridge. Like I actually have a video of myself, which I didn't post on social media. Maybe someday I will, because it's a bit cringe for me at this time to look. But I recorded myself after I ate a bunch of stuff. I remember I said in the video I was eating 3 bananas, a cereal box, a jar of peanut butter, rice cakes, jam, not even pizza or burgers, just things that I had in the fridge. And I was showing my super bloated belly and that I was in extreme pain. And that hurts. Looking back, that hurts. I actually showed this video to my girlfriend, and every time she thinks about it, she's at the verge of crying because I was a kid. I was a kid who didn't know what to do, who wanted to look a certain way for so many years and just tried his best, but ended up not in a good place. And yeah, that's the thing that so many people who want to lose weight go through, and it sucks. It sucks, and that's what now I'm looking to try to avoid. I had to learn from my mistakes. If I were to go back, I wouldn't, to be honest with you, because everything that happened, like, it taught me what I know now. Being able to go through those experiences, they help me make a better. They help make me a better coach and a better person and someone who is able to relate more. So I wouldn't take it back if I could. But if I were to start my weight loss journey from scratch, to come back to your question, I wouldn't crash diet. Like, I would just find out how many calories I need to eat, decrease them by like 500 calories and just eat that for a while. Stop doing crazy workouts, just get a gym membership. It's like 20 euros. You can find cheap gym membership or even workout at home. Do 2 to 3 training sessions per week, not more. Eat protein, eat fruits, eat vegetables. Go out in the weekends, enjoy your time with your friends and family. Have some drinks, have a burger, have a pizza. Just, don't go crazy on it. And keep doing this over weeks and months and even 1 or 2 years. And that's what I find would work best. I know that was a ton. Sorry about that, but that's where my brain got me.
No, that was absolutely great. Thanks for sharing that. And you said yes, you can like go with your friends and have a few drinks. And in what way your lifestyle changed when you actually got better relationship with the food and not like
Yeah.
have this binge eating moment? How did your like lifestyle and mindset change?
Yeah, no, super great. Another great question. The things I did. So in 2023, after I was at my heaviest, I tracked my calories still, but I ate a lot more than I could ever imagine myself eating and still losing weight. I was a big guy at the time. I was 115 kilos, so I could eat a lot. So I was eating. I think I started at about 700 calories or 2,700 calories, which if I would have thought about eating this much again 9, 8 years ago, I would be like, are you fucking crazy? Sorry for swearing, but I don't know if you can swear on this, but
Yeah,
are you
yes, you
insane?
can.
Are you insane? Why would you eat this much? You're gonna be fat. No, the amount of calories that a person eats doesn't relate to the amount of calories that you need to eat, right? We have different needs. So I ate as much as I could while still losing weight. That was my goal. I want to eat as much as possible while still losing weight. I'm going to prioritize having 2 to 3 fruits every single day. I'm gonna have vegetables with my lunch and my dinner. I made sure to have a bunch of vegetables. And I had multiple moments, where I went out with my friends, my family, my girlfriend, go out to a nice restaurant, get dessert, get entries. I just accounted for that. Like, okay, it happened. I ate more. This is not an excuse for me to, go home. And since I already messed up the whole day, I'm gonna go to my cupboard and I'm gonna have a big jar of peanut butter. Because might as well, I'm gonna start again tomorrow. No, I had a nice time. I'm gonna move on the next day, get right back on track, and keep going like that. And when I'm in the restaurant as well and stuff like this, maybe I wouldn't go that crazy. I wouldn't have an entire appetizer for myself. I would share it. Same for dessert. I would share my dessert. I would go for diet soda if I'm not in the mood to drink alcohol. I will not gonna drink just because everybody's drinking. And have a regular plate, whatever it is, whether it's a burger and fries or a pizza or whatever, Still being able to enjoy myself, but not going crazy in terms of calories. I find that that's the thing that was most sustainable for me because I knew that there was no restriction. If I want to have something, cool, I'm gonna have it. I'm just gonna do it. I know that it might bring my total calories a bit up over the week. So what? Who cares if I achieve my goal in 1 year or in 1 year and 1 month? I don't care. Like, nobody cares. What matters is where am I going to be in 5 years from now? Because I'm going back to my weight loss in uni. Cool, I lost a lot of weight. I lost it fast, but where was I 5 years after? I was in a worse spot, So now I'm switching now to this perspective of, where am I going to be 5 years from now? Are the things I'm doing now going to be able to keep me where I want to be 5 years ahead? And this is something that's extremely hard for a lot of people to grasp, especially young people. I find, like, what do you mean 5 years from now? I don't know what I'm going to do in 5 years. I want to do this now. I want to do this tomorrow. Older people as well, but I find that younger people, they tend to have this difficulty to think more long term, which is fair. And that's where being able to watch people or to relate to someone who's been in your position and try to listen to them, that can be quite helpful.
Yeah, like, of course, because I think like it is like we always get our little dopamine hits from
Yes,
the phone and everything, so like we want everything now. And
exactly.
like thinking long term is, I think, hard for everybody, but especially like kids my age and even older. Like I'm doing these notes and like focusing long term is kind of the like old knowledge that yes everybody knows, but nobody really focuses on it, even when it
Yeah.
has a lot of power. Even you said like what a great way to just kind of halven your calories, like have a dessert but share it, like what a
Yeah.
kind way. So
And that's
well,
why that's why also I love like listening to podcasts in general. And that's also why I love what you're doing here, because this is delayed gratification. You're not gonna get a ton of feedbacks right away, right? Because it's a podcast. It takes time for people to, get to know you, to get to enjoy you, and to get to see where you're going. Being able to be more focused on like long term content rather than the fast scrolling things. That's something I huge respect to you. I wish I could do that.
yeah.
Right now, my focus is mostly on short form, but eventually, I want to also do this kind of podcasting. So, huge props to you for starting so early with this kind of like things that take time to digest and to get to see the results. I find that this is awesome.
Yeah, like I love podcasts too, so that's why I started. And like it is like one of the best feelings, just being with people and listening like to even your and other stories and experiences. It's just absolutely great. I'm grateful to have you here, by the way.
Thank you.
So thanks for coming. And one of my next question was, for me personally, I never was like, I don't want to say it, but a fat person.
Hmm.
Just I didn't have problem with that. I was basically on the other end.
Hmm.
I had like problems with my body and not really healthy relationship with like the food I was eating, but that got better over the years. And I wanted
Yes.
always to know if like you said like you were like kind of fat kid and throughout your high school and stuff, and you were self-aware of that, like when you were like probably like eating more and just having a lot of those plates and just being a big guy. Well, what part of it was it just because you wanted to have food, and what part of it was emotional eating, like
Mm.
yeah, still fat, so I will just give it a few other plates. Maybe a weird question, but I'm interested in that.
No. It's a great question because it's super important. Like for me, it was a lot of emotional eating. Like most of it was emotional eating. I'm I'm sad. I'm gonna eat. I'm happy. I'm gonna eat. I don't feel good. I'm gonna eat. It was a lot of emotional eating, and one thing that's also super important, and that's something that we don't really have control over, especially as kids, is your environment. If you're in a family that's very food focused, like I'm from Romania originally, and in Romania, a lot of things are focused on food. Like food is in every occasion. Like we had Christmas recently, and while I hear that some people like from the UK, they have like a Christmas dinner, a plate here and there, a bit of chocolate, whatever. In Romania, you wake up, you do the gifts, then you go, you eat from like 12 all the way to 8 p.m. You sit at the table and you eat. You talk and you eat. So it's a lot of food focused. And when you're in an environment where your parents, they like to keep a lot of sweets in the house, or snacks, or chips, or whatever, either for them or either because they know you like it. Even though, like in my household, right, when I used to live with my parents, I always used to have something sweet. I always used to have like some Snickers bars, or some chips, or some sunflower seeds, which is a very Eastern European thing, but whatever. Lots of snacks, lots of this kind of stuff. And when you're surrounded by this kind of foods constantly, you are way more likely to eat them. You know, if it's 10 p.m. and I go in the cupboard and I see that there's a Snickers, I'm gonna have it. And this happened to me lots of times. I remember in the evening, before locking myself and watching a movie, I would grab 2 or 3 Snickers bars, a can of Pringles, go to my room, and eat. If I didn't have those things in the room, I wouldn't have, eaten those. Or if I had parents who didn't also enjoy eating, maybe I wouldn't have been a fat kid. That's not to blame anyone, right? Like people do whatever they want. People do their best, right? Especially parents. Parents do, or they should do what's best for the kids, and that's what my parents did as well. So there's zero blame, right? I'm responsible for whatever I do. But it's very important to note that your environment matters a lot. And that's what makes me very angry when I see online people say that it's fine, just move more. Just eat a bit less, move a bit more, it's fine, it's easy. Stop overcomplicating things. Thing is, it's not that simple. We don't all have the same background. Like, if you live with athletic people, you're more likely to be more athletic. Just like if you live with people who do drugs or alcohol, you are more likely to lean towards those stuff. You know, your environment matters so freaking much, and it mattered to me as well. But I got to a point where I started to live alone. I'm like, okay, I'm buying my own stuff. I'm responsible for my own things. I'm simply not gonna buy this junk food anymore. Or if I want to buy it, I will buy it, but I will buy it in smaller portions, which is what I'm doing now. I'm not gonna have a whole jar of ice cream in the fridge, a whole jar of Ben and Jerry's, because I'm more likely to eat most of it. I'm gonna have like single serving packages. This helps a lot. Same thing for I don't know, chips. I'm not gonna have a family size bag of chips like I used to have in my parents. I'm gonna have a small, like 30 grams one, and I'm gonna eat those if I want to. And I'm gonna count those towards my calories. So yeah, I find that the environment and, as you mentioned, the emotional eating aspect of it, like people having hard lives, harder than others. Like some people, like they don't know whether they can pay rent the next month. Go tell that person that it's fine, just eat a bit less. Why are you stressed? Stop eating. It doesn't work like that, Or the mom who has 2 kids. It's fine. You have 24 hours in your day. Just take an hour to work out. It's easy. Okay, are you gonna take care of my kids? No. So yeah, these are things that are quite not looked into a lot in the fitness industry, in the fitness and health industry, I find.
Yeah, I'm so glad you like brought this up because I never heard like any coach like talking about this, and it is really important. Like even uh and I love sunflower seeds. It is probably an Eastern European thing, but even I think even our parents, at least my, like, most of them, they like eating just potatoes
Hmm.
all day long, and
Hmm.
right now they, thank God, they have like more resources, more money. So yeah,
Hmm.
if they like want to just please their kids a little more and give them what they didn't had. So
Yeah,
yeah, it is this like thing, and it is very environmental. And like
exactly.
even like with the environment, what are those, you said buying a smaller like portions of the more like calorie based foods, and what
Yeah.
are those other small environmental changes that you can do that would greatly improve your life and your
Hmm.
fitness journey?
Hmm. That's a good question. Um, with the environment, if you live by yourself or if you're the main person who brings food in, then it's easier, right? You have to make choices that are aligned to your goals. So, if you have the goal in the moment to lose fat, then you should fill up your cupboard and your fridge with foods that are going to make fat loss easier. Things like lean proteins, fruits, veggies, lots of whole grains, like rice, pasta, beans, that kind of stuff. Like you should always have some nutritious foods on hand. That's going to help your direct environment where you live. If you don't if you're not the main provider for the house and you live with someone else or your parents or whatever, you can have a discussion like, look, I have these goals right now. I don't want you to stop buying things for yourself just because of me, but I want you to know that I'm not gonna, eat those right now because I have more important goals. And if you can like hide them somewhere where I don't know they are, I will find that greatly helpful. That can be also a strategy if you live with someone, right? So I think that's very important in terms of food and close environment. Then, in terms of the other habits and environment based changes, who you watch online, I find is also very important. Like, do you watch a bunch of people eating? Like those, I don't know if you've seen those, but there's a lot. There used to be a lot of 10,000 calorie challenges on YouTube of people like eating 10,000 calories. And when you're dieting, you tend to watch a lot of those kind of eating videos, like see me eat at this fast food place or whatever, mukbang or whatever those are called videos. Stop watching those; they're not good for you. Find people who you can identify with. People who are on the same journey as you. People who are on the same journey as you, who are also trying to lose fat, or people who have been in your journey before and are now trying to teach you what to do. Like me, like for example, I would watch myself right now if I was if I was fat, or if I was me from years ago, because that's what I did when I started. I found myself some people who lost a lot of weight. I don't think I'm gonna know these names, but like obese to beast, then he gets fit, fat meets fire. Some people who used to post on YouTube many years ago, because I found them very relatable, right? So I make sure that the people who I watch on YouTube, or the stuff that I watch on YouTube or social media, is aligned to my goals. That's also part of the environment, because we spend lots of time on social media and lots of time online, more than we should, right? So we should be very careful what we fill our brains with. So I'll put it as that as well. And also in terms of habits, as I mentioned before, I would still go out. I wouldn't push back on going out. But if I go out, I will still look to make as smart and great choices as I can. Like if I'm gonna go out with my friends, am I gonna go out with them just so I can eat? Or I'm gonna go out with them because I haven't seen them in a while, I wanna see how they're doing, I wanna catch up, I wanna talk, and so on. If it's the latter, if I'm going out for the purpose of socializing, I don't necessarily need to have 5 beers, I can have one. And I don't necessarily need to order what they're ordering. I don't need to get a huge pizza. I can go for a smaller one, or I can go for something else. But I would bring it also to their awareness that, look, I'm doing this thing right now. I have these goals. They're important to me. I want you to, if you're a real friend, I want you to respect my goals. I don't want you to bully me or whatever, or I want you to accept that I'm doing this and be on board. And if they're a good friend, they're gonna be on board. So yeah, in terms of environment, that's the things that I'm thinking about right now. And I talked about social media in terms of finding a community and people that you enjoy, but it can also be in real life. Ideally, it should be in real life, like maybe go to a fitness class at your local gym. Maybe sign up to do, like, I don't know, once per week, maybe a group training, or a group like biking for an hour with some people. CrossFit, people like to say bad things about CrossFit, but it's a great community builder where you make friends who have the same goals as you. So yeah, look to find like-minded people, and make sure that people in your inner circle know what you're going for, and that they respect to the best of their capabilities what you're doing, and they're not trying to actively derail you from that. Like, you tell your mom, okay, I want to lose a bit of weight, and the next day she comes with a bunch of chocolate. Here, eat. Why? That's not something that would be great. So yeah.
That's really really great tips about like food, your goals and your environment, friends, community. And
Yeah.
earlier, like this talk you mentioned, on the internet there's a lot of misinformation about just eat less, move more. That just doesn't kind of work and isn't like as specific. And my question is, what misinformation or what things would you love to just absolutely delete from like the internet, that just people you just couldn't consume it because like it is absolutely not true.
That's a nice one. I wish I had a superpower, to be honest with you. There's lots of things, but if I could choose just one that would cover a lot of things, it would be this dichotomy between good and bad foods. This fact that, this is the foods that you need to eat, these are the foods that you don't need to eat. There's so much of that going on right now. A lot of it is coming also from the health department of the US with the MAHA movement. I don't want to get into that, but the Make America Healthy Again, where they're promoting like beef tallow and they're telling you not to have seed oils that are gonna kill you. Or on the other side, you also have like carnivores who are telling you, okay, you should eat only eggs and meat and dairy and nothing else. Vegetables are bad for you. This covers a lot of ground. So all of these things, they can be fact checked. People, they only like to look towards the data that supports their claims, especially in these things. Why? Because being different sells, from my experience online. Telling people that, eat some veggies, eat some fruits, maybe limit the amount of red meat that you're eating, maybe have a bit less. That stuff doesn't sell. That stuff doesn't go viral. I make a video like that, I get no views. But on the opposite, if I switch my content and I make it about, if I make myself carnivore and I start promoting like, this is the magic solution for you, this is what you should be eating and nothing else, that goes viral. Because that brings a lot of emotions in people and that brings engagement, whether good or bad, right? That brings engagement and that brings like a cult-like mentality, I find. Like, I'm carnivore, I don't give a crap what you think, I'm right, or seed oils are bad for you no matter what. I don't care what you tell me. Seed oils are bad. Don't eat them or you're gonna die. That mentality pisses me off and I see it every single day. I tried to engage with some of these people on Threads and Twitter. It never goes well because there's nobody who is willing to change their opinion online. And I find that if you would have like this kind of conversation like we're having face to face, I'm sure that with 90% of the people, you would be able to come to a common ground or you'll be able to, agree on most things. But when you're behind a screen and you're just telling each other that, I'm right, no, I'm right, that's never going to happen. But anyways, I digress a bit. But so yeah, it will be this idea that there are good or bad foods, which is not true. Food doesn't have a moral value. Food is food. There are some foods that are more conducive to fat loss, that are easier to lose fat. It's easier to lose fat if you eat, for example, I don't know, chicken breast than if you eat chicken thighs because it's lower calorie, so it can be a bit easier. But it doesn't mean that chicken thighs are bad for you. Yeah, and I'm going back to this social media thing because another style of video that I'm seeing a lot, and I really hate it as well, is these people who say like, this food is bad for you, this food is okay, this food is good. Like, fried eggs are bad for you, scrambled eggs are good, but boiled eggs are perfect. No, that's not true. That's simply not true, and you're just doing this for the views. So I can get pretty riled up about this kind of topic, but I'll leave it at that, yeah.
Yeah, we can give even more topics. I wanted to touch on the main one and like this like good versus bad food. I think I no, as you said, I loved the quote, food doesn't have a moral value. Food
Yeah.
is just food, man.
Exactly. Yeah. Is this thing is that on social media the things that I hate are the things that mostly go viral because again these is the things that are more divisive and that bring discussion because these are the things that people like to engage with, myself included. If I see a video and I see that it has 1,000 comments and it's a video I disagree with, I'm gonna go in the comments and I'm gonna read the discussion. I'm gonna make my own opinion. I'm gonna stress myself out for no reason. Nothing's gonna change, and I'm gonna move on. But I really find that it stems from this, labeling of food. And same thing when it comes to training. People love to, you know, um, focus only on one thing at a time and think that this thing is the best thing ever and everything else is useless. Like there's been a huge increase in something called low volume training on social media, where people are pushing a lot that if you do 1 or 2 sets per exercise, that's enough and is the best. And also, you should only do 4 to 6 reps, and anything above that is just fatigue. It just makes you tired for no additional gains. But it's a lot more nuanced than that. It's not that black and white. But people love that. People love that because it makes you feel, I don't know, it makes you feel smart. I don't know. But when it comes to training, just to bring some more nuance, as I was mentioning, and since we're on the podcast, like if you want to train and you see a bunch of different advices online, training is not that difficult in terms of making progress, especially as a beginner. If you're starting out and you've never been to the gym before, if you've never stepped foot in the gym before, literally anything that you do is going to help you build muscle. If you just go in the gym and you lift 5 pounds or 5 kilos, and you do that for biceps, you do that for triceps, you do that for chest, whatever, and you do that for a couple of months, you are going to build muscle because your body is not used to that stimulus. It's something completely new. So as long as you find, something that you enjoy, a routine that you enjoy, that doesn't take too much of your time, if you don't like to spend a lot of time in the gym, that you can push yourself and you look forward to, or at least you can, tolerate, it really doesn't matter what kind of workout plan you follow, as long as, again, it's something that's sustainable and it's something that you enjoy and that you can see good progress with. So yeah, just wanted to touch on that part as well, because the training piece is also very polarizing right now.
Yeah, like I really wanted to like touch on the training too, and like yes, when you first time like step into the gym, I call it the newbie gains. You just
Exactly.
just get better really fast, and then it just slows down and down
Yeah.
even more. On the exercises, do you think they are like, what are if they are the best exercises for like losing fat or
Hmm.
like for calories?
There's a funny response to this, which is the best exercise to lose fat is plate pushes, where you take a plate of food and you push it away from your face and you don't eat it. That's the best exercise for losing fat. But to give a better answer, so when it comes to losing fat or losing weight, the most important thing is to be in a calorie deficit. You can exercise as much as you want, unless you're eating fewer calories than your body needs. You're never gonna lose weight, and that's the sad truth. You cannot outrun or out exercise a bad diet. At the same time, exercise is also extremely important because it helps you make sure that you're losing fat and not also muscle. Because that was my mistake. Also, one of my mistakes from uni when I started to lose weight is that I didn't really do strength training in the gym. I didn't lift weights for a long period of time. And because of that, I didn't lose just fat, I also lost muscle. And I ended up in a look that's called skinny fat, which is a very, very annoying look. Is when with a shirt on you look skinny, but if you take your shirt off, you look fat. You have like skinny like arms and legs, but you have a belly, and that's because you have a low amount of muscle mass. And it's a very annoying look. And I remember googling and searching on YouTube how to get out of it, and seeing so many potential solutions. And that can be avoided if you lift some weights, some resistance training, some strength training. If you lift some weights, at least I would say 2 to 3 times per week in the gym with enough intensity. For example, if you do, for example, this, if I take this bottle of water and I lift it like this 10 times, is that enough for me to build my shoulders? Maybe not. So it also needs to be something challenging. Like when you get to the last reps, you're like, "Ooh, this is tough. I cannot do that many more, or I'm gonna fail." That's important. And the other thing in terms of what particular exercises, so there's millions of exercises, but I would think about it in terms of exercise patterns. So an exercise pattern can be, for example, horizontal push, which is a fancy way of saying like a chest press. So when you're laying horizontally and you're pushing, that's going to train your chest, your triceps, and your shoulders. There is also a vertical push where you're sitting vertically and you push up. That's going to work mainly your shoulders and your triceps. There is also vertical pull when you're pulling towards you. That's going to train your back, mostly your lats, which is the muscle that attaches and that gives you that nice V shape. There's a horizontal row, which is when you're pulling towards you, which is going to work more of your mid back. Then there's, of course, a bicep movement and a tricep movement. And for legs, there is a squat pattern, which is also very important to build your quads, glutes, and adductors. Then we have a hip hinge, which is when you're pushing your hips back. That's most deadlift variations. That's going to work your hamstring and your glutes. And finally, we also have a quad isolation, like a leg extension, where you're just extending your leg. That's going to work your quads. And a hamstring isolation, where you're curling your leg, which is going to work your hamstring. And if you want to do some calves, you can also do calf raises. If you do at least one exercise for each of these movement patterns, you have a complete workout routine. In terms of maybe more practically, if you can do anywhere, I would say between 5 to even 20. Technically, it's up to 30 reps that you can build mostly the same amount of muscle, but 30 is kind of high and kind of time consuming, I find. So I like the 5 to 20 rep range. If you do that, couple of sets per exercise, 2 to 3 times per week, and repeat this over and over again, and you try to get stronger every time by adding a bit of weight or a bit of reps or a few reps, that's gonna help you build muscle and at the same time, ensure that you're only losing fat and not muscle.
Yeah,
Does that make
that's
sense?
really, really great. One of the main things that when doing like the squats and deadlifts, when I know like there's a big risk like when you're doing it wrong, especially deadlift, there's a
Yeah.
big like risk of injuring yourself. So I know it's like hard to describe when people can see it, but what are those like general mistakes that people make when doing like those exercises like squat and deadlifts or even some of other exercises that general mistakes that they can avoid and make themselves safer?
Great question. So when it comes to exercise mistakes, I find it also highly depends on the gender. Because when it comes to men, there's a lot more ego lifting. Because when you go in the gym and you see what other people are doing, other guys are doing, you can be a little bit self-conscious, especially on like big, manly, in like I'm saying this like this. I don't know how to say this in English. Like the bench press, for example. Everybody loves the bench press, and when you love the bench press so much and you want to do so much weight, in this exercise, for example, what you're gonna see a lot of guys do is that they, instead of coming all the way down to their chest, they're coming down only like halfway. They're coming down halfway and then they push back again. Why? Because they put a lot of weight on the bar and they don't want to start, for example, with an empty bar because they think that that's showing that you're too weak or something. So that can be a big, big common mistake in all exercises. It can be for women as well. I'm just from my personal experience, it tends to be more with guys. It's going too heavy before you actually master the movement. So when it comes to general mistakes, what I always recommend people do is start as light as possible, especially as a beginner. If you want to do squats, you don't necessarily need to start with having a bar on your back. You can start with bodyweight squats, like simply bodyweight squats. Let's focus on you doing the exercise correctly. Let's make sure that your foot positionings are good. Let's make sure that your chest stays up. Let's make sure that you're going at least down to parallel or even below. Once you're able to master that, we can graduate to, for example, a goblet squat. A goblet squat is when you're holding a dumbbell against your chin here. This is also an exercise I love to give out to my clients. You're holding a dumbbell up to your chin and you do the same movement. You squat all the way down, chest up, slowly learning the exercise for weeks. It can take weeks to get comfortable with the movement. Once you're doing that, and if you get bored of doing goblet squats, for example, then we can try to do a barbell back squat where you put the bar on your back, right? And without going, into specific mistakes for particular exercises, again, my biggest tip is to start with easy progression models in terms of exercise selection, and keep the weight light until you're sure that you have mastered it. It gets to a point, and this is what I find an issue more in women than in men. It gets to a point that your form is so perfect, but you are kind of afraid of increasing the weight. And that's also kind of a mistake. Not an injury mistake per se, but still a mistake in that you're kind of afraid to go up in weight. It can be either because you're afraid of injuring yourself, which is fair, but if you've been able to do 30 kilo squat for a month straight, you most likely can go ahead and do 32.5 kilos the next time. It doesn't have to be a big jump. You can just add a bit of weight. So it can be from an injury perspective, and for some people, mostly women, it can also be from being afraid of getting, bulky, like Arnold, for example, which is never going to happen. Like, this is a bit of a side tangent, but I see this all the time, so I thought it was worth pointing it out. Like, there's a big misconception in terms of, gaining muscle and getting toned. The misconception is that they're actually the same thing. They're not different things. They're exactly the same things. When women say that, I want to get toned, I don't want to get too big, it's the exact same exercises and the exact same movements as what the guys do or as what anybody does. It's progressive overload with exercises that stimulate muscle. A toned look is simply a look that has more muscle mass and less fat. This is, the look that you are going for if you're looking to get toned. And that's also a big mental block, I find, that is hard to get passed through, and it helps to, go over with someone, realizing that I'm gonna exercise and I'm not gonna go overnight and become super jacked like a bodybuilder. No. I'm gonna get to a point where I do actually like the way I look just by doing the same routine that other people are doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And like, of course, even I was at that journey. Yes, I don't want to have like too much muscles because it doesn't look good. But essentially, women have, I think, 3 times less testosterone than men. The natural way, they will never get as big as men.
Yeah, exactly. Like the way you're afraid of looking is the way I'm trying my best to look, and I cannot look like that. And you're afraid of getting there. It's not gonna happen.
Yes. That's a good point, and that's especially for women that are even girls or everybody that is like afraid to go to the gym and build muscles, because like having muscles is good, guys. Like, you should all do it. And like, don't worry, like, even I'm working out like for a long time, and I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger yet, so like, don't worry, guys, don't worry.
Exactly.
And like, it was such an interesting point you get. For mistakes are different for men and women. I never heard of that actually.
Yeah.
Like, it's so cool. I heard like even people like who want to just get even progress and get more weight, but for example in their gym is the weight difference between like the dumbbells or anything like too big. Like, they may just push through 30 kilos, but they will not just do 35, and it is the only option that they have. So like, what should they do? They just do it like faster, more reps, or what should they do to just progress to the 35 when they are not there?
Yeah. So when the incremental jump is quite high, like 30 to 35.
Yes.
Yeah, this is something that happens a lot, especially for smaller muscles like your arms, like your bicep, triceps, and shoulders. I don't know, like there's this exercise which is called a lateral raise, which you take a couple of dumbbells in each arm and you bring your arm out, and this works your shoulders. You will see guys that have been training for 10 years, and the max they're doing is like 14 kilos after 10 years of training. That's because these muscles are simply not as strong as the big muscles like your chest, your back, your legs. So they cannot endure that much weight. So when the increment is too high in the gym, let's say for example that your gym has 6 kilos and then there's no 7 kilos, the next available one is only 8, and going from 6 to 8 is a big jump when you think about it. Like, percentage wise, going from 6 kilos to 8 kilos is higher than going from, for example, 20 kilos to 22. It's a bigger jump. There are ways to work your way. For example, let's say you're able to do 10 reps with 6 kilos, but if you go to 8 kilos, you're only able to do 3 reps, which is quite low. You can keep the 6 kilos, and instead of going for 10 reps, you can go for 11 reps, or 12 reps, or 13 reps, and so on. A nice progression model that I use myself, both for myself and for my clients, is when I set a repetition range. Again, in this example, let's say I'm doing 6 kilos. I want to do between, let's say, 10 to 12 reps. Once I'm able to do 12 reps for each and every single set, that's when I would go up to the next weight and do the low end of that threshold. So in my example, it's 10 to 12. Let's say I'm able to do 6 kilos for 12 reps. I'm gonna go up to 8 kilos and try to go for 10 reps. Does that make sense? Like, I'm increasing the weight, but I'm dropping the number of reps. And then I make my way up and try to work again towards 12. Now, in the example that you provided, which is going from 30 to 35, just that 2 repetition difference, 10 to 12, may not be enough. It may be very challenging. And in that scenario, you can increase the rep range. Nobody tells you, it's not against the law to increase the rep range. So instead of doing 10 to 12, you can go for between, let's say, 10 to 20, right? Let's say right now you're able to do 30 kilos for 10 reps, but if you go to 35, you're not going to be able to do enough. Just keep doing 30 kilos and try to add 1 rep each and every single week. Once you're able to go from 10 to 20, you are probably strong enough to go up in weight and start again at 10. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That would be one. And the other one would be to also, I think you pointed this out as well, do the repetitions also slower, right? So let's say it's, let's say it's a squat, right? A barbell squat. Instead of going down on the way down, instead of going on the way down, let's say 1 second descent, take 2 seconds. So as you squat down, instead of squatting down, let's say 1, squat down 2 seconds, or 3 seconds, or 4 seconds, or 5 seconds. That's also progress. Being able to do 30 kilos with a 5-second descent, it's generally stronger than someone who is able to do 30 kilos with a 1-second descent. So that also can be a way of progressing. So thankfully, even for people who are limited, let's say, I don't know, you work at home and you don't have that many dumbbells, there's always something you can do. You know, you can do more reps, you can improve your technique. Maybe your technique is kind of not the best, you can improve on that. You can slow it down, you can take less rest time in between sets or more rest. Thankfully, there's plenty of ways that you can make it work.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great tip. And to go like even again to the like food and like, for example, proteins. That of course a big topic in building muscle in gym. And like, what do you think is the proper way to eat protein, and in what ways just to eat it?
Yes. So protein is understated by some people and super overstated by others in terms of the amount that you should eat. Generally speaking, the preferred amount to eat, or the recommended amount to eat for muscle growth, is between 1.6 and 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So let me do some quick math. For example, if you weigh 80 kilos, that would be between 128 and 176 grams of protein, which is quite a big range, right? Both can work. It really depends on the context, because if you have someone who's currently eating 40 grams of protein, they're not eating more than that. They don't like protein-based products. And I tell them that, okay, based on your weight, you should eat 150 grams of protein. They're not going to go from 40 grams of protein to 150 grams overnight. It's impossible. It will be too huge of a change that maybe they can do for a couple of days, but then they would get sick of it and go back to square one. So what I would have them do, instead of going for 40 grams of protein every day, I would have them increase it to 50 grams for like a week or two. Once they can see themselves that they're able to get 50 grams of protein, I would then increase it maybe to 60 grams, and then to 70, and then to 80, and so on and so forth. Ideally, until I'm able to get them to 1.6 or 1.5 even grams of protein per kilo of body weight. That would be, let's say, ideal. Does it mean that if you eat a bit less than that, you're not going to make gains anymore? Absolutely not. Like, we're talking about, percentages, like small percentages of difference. If you are still making sure to eat a lot of protein, let's say even 1.3 grams per kilo of body weight, even if you're eating that, but you're doing it consistently, and you're training hard at the gym, and you're eating in a calorie deficit, and you're doing everything right, you're sleeping well, you're still gonna see amazing progress, right? So yeah, protein, it can get quite tricky, and I like to have the discussions as well because they're very interesting. But for the majority of people, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Like, let's say, to put it simple, take your body weight, multiply it by 1.6, and tell yourself, eventually, in months from now, if I'm super far away from it, this is my ideal. This is where I would like to be. Now I'm all the way down here. Let me just gradually increase my protein intake each and every single week until I get to that point. Now, how do I do that? It's to focus on protein rich foods. What are protein rich foods? It's things like chicken breast, white fish, salmon, beef, tuna, lentils, even edamame. Edamame has a lot of protein as well. Yogurt, cottage cheese, tofu is high in protein, eggs, whey protein as well. If you're struggling to get enough protein in, whey protein is an amazing way to get your protein in. It's real food. Going back to better, good or bad foods, whey protein is also real food, so that can also help. And I would also maybe try to spread it out a bit during the day. So, for example, make sure to have protein at your breakfast, at lunch, and dinner. Like, don't undereat on protein most of your meals, and then dinner comes and you see that you only ate 20 grams, and you're like, oh shit, I need to get 80 grams of protein in one meal. Make sure that you're having protein across all of your meals, starting with breakfast. Like, if you start your day right with breakfast, with a good amount of protein, whether it's, I don't know, some yogurt with some whey protein and the fruit, or eggs with some bread and cottage cheese, or simply a protein shake, that can, kind of like kickstart your brain in terms of, okay, I'm starting with protein, let me keep getting some protein in. I know that was a lot, but hopefully that makes sense.
No, that's absolutely great, absolutely. And what do you think? Is there good time or a perfect time when to take your protein, like before training, after training, or just when we're talking about like protein shakes and stuff like that? Is there like a time for that?
The most important thing is gonna be that you're getting enough protein throughout the day. So technically speaking, if you want to have, or one day you end up having protein only once per day or twice per day, it's not going to be the end of the world. Like, you're getting enough protein throughout the day, that's going to be the most important thing. Now, if we go a bit into the more nitty gritty stuff, I would recommend to have some protein before training, like 1 to 2 hours before. A quick protein shake can help. If you like to train fasted first thing in the morning, that's fine. You can also train without eating protein before. But if you train fasted, or if you go to the gym fasted, I would be more careful about having protein maybe 1 hour after training, 1 to 2 hours again after training. If you have protein before you go train at the gym, it's fine. You can just simply wait until you have your next meal. But if you train fasted and the last time you ate was the night before, there I would maybe have a protein source more quickly, let's say after the workout. But again, that's if you want to make everything like optimized. The most important thing is to get enough protein throughout the day.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I like you touch on that. I like her not having, not just training fasted. Is it a good way like to train fasted, or it's better to have some protein shakes, or why shouldn't you just train fasted, or you should? I don't know.
Yeah. So I have a very easy way to answer this, which is, if you enjoy training fasted and you're not hungry during the session, keep going. If that's the way that you enjoy it, if you're someone who needs to wake up super early, let's say 4 a.m., and you simply cannot be asked to eat anything, sure, go ahead, train fasted. To me, the most important thing is that your performance is good in the gym, you're able to progress, and that you're not hungry. If those things are met, cool, go ahead and train fasted. Personally, I'm not someone who's able to do that. If I train fasted, I'm not gonna be at my best. And I do train also very early. I wake up at 6 a.m. and I train at like 7, more or less. And what I like to have in the morning, I like to have a coffee, first of all. And I also like to have a couple of cereal bars. They're like individually packed cereal bars, which is like 100 calories each. And they have carbs, because carbohydrates, they're quite helpful before training because they help with energy a lot. So I make sure to get carbs from cereal bars because I'm able to easily digest them. A banana would also work great here if you want to have some quick carbs before the workout. Maybe some honey would also be nice because it's acting super fast. And a protein shake, whether it's whey protein or nowadays there's lots of clear protein which tastes like juice essentially. I really like those in the morning. That's what I have. Yeah, it's honestly personal preference. Like if you want to train fasted, if you like it, go for it. If not, then get in some quick carbs and protein before. That would be it.
That's a great idea. I maybe like one of the last topics I want to touch on before the end is like content creation and like content creation journey as someone in the like kind of fitness niche and having a lot of like competition there and like a lot of people just doing this and a lot of misinformation as we said, then like what would be like your advice to people who are starting their business who, for example, were on the same journey as you and they're starting their personal brand and business?
Hmm. I think my biggest advice would be to stop caring so much. You're not gonna go viral in your first month or even year. Who knows, right? That's not something that's under your control, unfortunately, right? It's very easy to get frustrated. It's very easy to feel like you're wasting your time. I had this myself. I remember I posted the video. I was 7 months in after posting content. And after 7 months of posting essentially every single day on Instagram, I was, I think, at like 70 followers or something, or like even less, to be honest. I think I know it was less. It was like 40 something, and on TikTok it was like 70. And I was explaining how frustrating that is. And I was linking it also, though. I was linking it to fitness and to weight loss because weight loss can feel the same. You're not seeing progress on the scale for weeks, even months at times. What do? You give up, right? It's the same thing when it comes to content. Like, don't let views, the likes, the engagement bring you down. You need to keep pushing and you need to keep posting. The only way to get better and to know what works and to improve your content and to have a chance in this pool of millions of people who post at the same time as you to have a chance to succeed is to keep trying and to not give up. Because what's going to differentiate you from all other people is not giving up, is staying consistent. If you go and you post every single day for 2 years, the likelihood that you're gonna have at least one video or two videos that are gonna go viral or that are gonna bring in the people that you want to bring in, that's gonna make it all worth it. Like in my case, it took me 8 months, 9 months until I posted that video I talked about in the beginning, where I was talking about I don't have time to cook breakfast, I don't have time to cook breakfast either, this side-by-side comparison. And that video took off. And that video brought in like more than 50% of my followers. And a couple of videos I posted after that brought the other half percent, the other 50% of my followers. It was from a couple of videos, right? Does this mean that all the previous videos were useless? Absolutely not. Because what people are gonna do, if they really enjoy your content, once you blow off, let's say, once you get some people, you get some traction, people are gonna go back into your videos and they're gonna keep looking, and all you need is one video pretty much to change your life, because that video, it can bring people who are gonna change your life as well, right? Thanks to that video, I was able to have more followers, right? And thanks to that increase in followers, I was able to connect with them with my videos that were not doing that well. I was able to bring in a large pool of people, and then from that large pool of people, I was able to build more depth with them, right? I was able to focus a lot on depth. And that's something that matters a lot. It may be, your most viral pieces of content that are going to bring a lot of people in, but is those really educational or those really personal kind of videos that are going to help you build trust with your audience, and that are going to, help you have someone actually reach out to you or be willing to pay you for your service if that's something that you want to do, and that's something very important, and that's something that it's very, very frustrating, and it's super hard. I find it hard right now. Like, I spent hours making videos recently and they're not doing as well as I wanted, and I'm getting pissed about it in the moment. I'm like, damn, I really expected this to do a lot better. Okay, it's time to move on. I cannot do anything else about it. It's time to move on. It's time to keep posting. It's time to keep helping people. Like, I'm remembering myself why I'm doing this. Am I doing this to like go viral for no reason? No, I'm doing this because I want to help people, right? I want to be able to resonate with people and to help them in the journey to not make the same mistakes as I did, right? How do I do that? By showing up when people are not showing up, and by posting as much valuable content as I can. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes perfect sense. And it is, every creator goes through that, I think, through every niche. Like yesterday, I talked to this like bigger creator that knows a lot of people in the space, and eventually he said, no matter what are your numbers, you will kind of have the still same worries. Oh, this video flopped, or this and
Yeah.
this. So it is always a journey, and especially on social media where just everything just comes and goes, like so just
Yeah.
it is so fast paced.
And to tell you also, like, you will never be satisfied. Like, okay, you reach a milestone, like, oh shit, my first 10,000 followers, yay, amazing, I did it. And then you're like, okay, now what? It sounds cliche, but it's always about the journey. It's always about the journey. It's all about building up to that point. Like, I want to get to that point. But once you're at that level, and once it kind of gets normalized, okay, this is my new baseline, you don't really care about it anymore, you know? And that's something that I'm really trying to be careful about, and I'm really trying to be, grateful about it, and trying to put things into perspective, because what may seem now for me as small views, it's something that when I was a year ago, I was looking so hard to get those, I was struggling to get like 1,000 views, and now if I get 1,000 views, I need to keep myself as, grateful that I'm in a position where where so many people can watch me, because it's something that I wanted to achieve before, It's always good to keep in mind, that level of perspective. You're never going to be fully, happy about what you're doing, and you should keep a level of gratefulness and remember where you started.
And I think like that's the great way to kind of end this podcast. We're almost hour and like 13 minutes or something. So it was a great talk. I feel like we can talk about these topics like nutrition, food, like for hours and hours. But time is up.
Same.
And I just wanted to thank you for coming on this podcast and for sharing all of this great value and great stuff. I'm really thankful for you and that you came here. All of like your social media and everything will be either in the description or in the comments. And I'm grateful that you are here, and I'm grateful to the people that watched. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I want to thank you as well. And I want to say that I'm extremely jealous of you, because if I started when you started, God knows where I would be right now. So huge congrats to you for already doing what you're doing. You're ahead of so many people, you have no idea, and you're only gonna get better. Like, you're an amazing host. Like, I really appreciate all the questions that you asked me. They were all great. You're a great listener as well, a great follow-up. I see great things also in your future. So yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, hopefully when you get big, we can see how it goes.
Yes, of course. I would love to have you again for even when you get big, because I see your determination and I see your consistency. We can do a second round. It would be great. And
Sounds
I'm thankful
great.
for all
Looking forward to
those
it.
compliments. They mean really, really a lot.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
So, thanks for watching, and see you at the next one.
See you.